Unlucky number 13. Maybe what's her face will be back.
Pancake
Ha-
mass.
Harlequin something, wasn't it?
Again, we
Or
don't know that that was a girl, and I'm not sure why. Well, I know why you think it might be a girl
unlucky number
because
13.
Harley
Maybe
Quinn.
what's her face will
Uh, oh, here comes an ad. Harley Quinn is a character, right, from the Batman's. The Batman's. Can you hear me? Hello.
Yeah, I can hear you.
All right, let's do a quick sound check.
I'm just seeing myself. I'm watching myself because we're actually
Snake.
talking about it, isn't it?
Snake. Snake. Okay, sound checks are important.
It's true.
Playback devices. Oops. All right, hang on.
I want to
Just
pause it where my eyes are actually open here.
All right. So, are you centered up kind of nice? Should I make your camera? Are you okay with how you look?
Yeah, I'm fine. Good. Rock and roll.
You mean rock and rizzle?
Sure. I'm good.
Do you want to fillet your Yeti? You know that there's gonna make a gif. Somebody will make a gif of that. You'll be
I'll
like,
never
"Fuck."
become famous enough for that.
All right. Let's start the music. Do you want to do the music live, man? We talked about doing this. Oh wait, can we do the music live? I think we can.
So the music plays and then I just start talking.
Yeah. So
Let's do it.
the one issue is I'm gonna have to say the tagline because we're recording the whole thing live, right?
Sure.
So I've got to say it on. I've got to say that on. No, we can't do that. Hang on.
All right. Just play the music and then we'll do a little pause and then I'll start
We'll
talking.
do
And
it
you
things
can...
the crappy way. All right, I agree. Let's do it the crappy way.
Okay.
Where's the music? I don't know.
Always great.
Yes, always great. All right, I turned up my recording a little bit.
So you ready to do the tick tick ticks?
Ready to do the tick tick ticks? You ready to introduce the show?
I am.
All right. If you're joining us, chat room, thanks for joining us. See you in the end. All right. 1, 2, 3.
Hello and welcome to the Exclamation Mark podcast. You will never find a greater hive of scum and villainy. I am Crofton Steers, here to guide you in a galaxy far, far away, a Star Wars themed episode of the Exclamation Mark with myself, your Han Solo, to guide the way. And along with me, of course, what would be Han Solo without his Chewbacca, right? And here, it's Beau Schwartz, my Chewbacca.
That's not. Yeah.
That was pretty good, actually.
All right, whatever. I suck at everything. I can't do any voice impressions whatsoever.
Whatever. That was a pretty good Chewbacca. You know,
Was it?
it does.
Was it really?
It does lead me to wonder how Han Solo didn't have a perpetual headache, though.
Oh, listening to that all day?
Yeah. Oh God, it would drive me
Man,
nuts.
you Chewbacca racist.
How you doing,
You
Chewbacca?
Wookiee racist. You Wookist.
That's
All right.
true. I guess all Wookiees sound the same. Is that PC?
Oh, that is so not cool, dude.
Yeah. So
Hi, I'm Beau. Hello.
yes. The reason, Beau, that we're Star Wars themed today is because this weekend, as you know, has been the Star Wars Battlefront beta, and I have been part of said beta. I have enjoyed it. I will talk about it a little later on, but
I feel like I literally just found out about this like not 2 seconds ago, like an hour ago.
Well, you will find out more soon, my young Padawan apprentice.
I'm disappointed because I would have downloaded and played it, but sounds like I'm out of time.
I think that it's been extended for a day into tomorrow. But if you want to download it tonight, you probably could. I'm not sure how it would perform on your PC, but it's pretty interesting. It's pretty interesting. I have thoughts to share.
All right, well,
and
let's get into it.
I feel
dude.
like teasing people, instead of just giving them my thoughts right off. We'll go through the news. We'll go to the games section when we talk about what we're playing. And
dude, stop being so coy. It's like the first item in the news section. Let's go.
First, what's the first? Okay, let's start the news. Readme.txt.
Readme.txt.
Star Wars Battlefront beta weekend was extended. There's an expensive season's pass, and the Ultimate Edition is announced. Crofton has more of the details, and I think what he wanted to say earlier was that he's been playing it, so it's going to be in our section on games we've been playing. That's a sneak preview. But let's talk about the more newsworthy items before we talk about your first-hand experience with the game. Beta weekend, a lot of enthusiasm from people wanting to check this thing out.
Yeah, I thought it was going to. I thought it was going to be like a month-long beta or something, and then I was going to be like, who's going to buy the game afterwards? They will have played it for a month, but it turns out it was a weekend long, so not long at all. And they
just found out about it. If it was a month long, I might actually get around to trying it. Oh well.
But yeah, it's a weekend long, and they've extended it to Tuesday. But supposedly the extension is for connectivity testing, so playing on Tuesday may involve a lot of players being dropped and stuff. So maybe a little frustrating, whatever. But one day more is better than no day more, I guess. So yeah, you could still get in on it, Beau. The season's pass stuff was just sort of unfurled today while enthusiasm was high, and as well as like $110 or something version of the game that comes with the game, a season's pass, and in-game like $10 worth of unlocks or something. So leading me to believe that you'll be able to pay money to get some stuff unlocked as well. So definitely makes this feel more like a product than it already is. So I'm not necessarily excited about that pricing model. And having played the game now, I really have a good sense of how they're going to provide that season pass content. I feel it's going to be a little more cohesive with the game. It'll be like a game like Call of Duty or Battlefront where they release more maps and stuff. But unlike those games, the maps will probably be planets that Star Wars nerds are super excited about. And then, you'll be way more tempted to buy it, right?
$50 for a non-campaign.
Are you talking about the base price of the game, or are you talking about?
No, I'm talking about the DLC, the season pass, which we talked about last episode. $50, sight unseen. Don't know what you're getting.
The thing is,
$50, guys. Just give them $50. You'll get stuff. Maybe it's good. Maybe it isn't. You don't get to know. You just get to give them $50 ahead of time, and
you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. But unlike other games that are maybe single player story games and this sort of thing, this is this is like a multiplayer online shooter. So essentially, they're going to be map packs, is what they're going to be, and there are different modes in the game, and maybe the maps will be for one of the modes is this walker mode where you're trying to take down AT giant walkers, and those maps, the one map that's in the beta, Hoth, is fucking huge. So maybe it's possible that these will also be like huge maps like that. And you're right. We don't know what they are, but it's not like the season's pass isn't gonna include a single player component to the game or anything. It's gonna be maps.
My thing is not a comment on its quality. It may very well be, the greatest thing since Pope last spoke to God or something. We were so happy we got a new Pope, and now we're so happy that we have Star Wars Battlefront, and the DLC is just as good as all of that. It's sight unseen. It's I don't know. Like, why don't they just announce that they're going to do an X pack? Like, if you think about some other business models where it's like we release the game at $60, and then a year later we'll have an expansion pack, and we'll just put it all as a second part to the game. Like, I just hate this idea that DLCs, okay, if you know you're going to do 4 DLC, tiny DLCs, then you probably know you have enough to just do a whole expansion pack. But you can't charge as much for an expansion pack, and expectations are higher, but arguably I'm paying more for what is an equivalent amount of content to an expansion pack as part of a season pass. DLC is one thing when it's like 1 or 2. Now there's like 4 or 6, and it's like $50. Like, this is expansion pack. And I'm not calling out EA in particular, but once every company wants to do this, then every game just effectively turns into a $140 game. And so, okay, I'm done. We don't want to talk about this forever, but I'm just like,
well, the one thing I'll say, and I'll touch on it more later, is that I think that they know, and by they I mean DICE and EA, developer and publisher of this game, that they are going to have everybody's intention for a finite period of time. So correlating with the release of the game and the release of the new Star Wars movie, after which point they will lose everybody's attention. And so they want as much money out of people's pockets now. I think if they were more confident in their product moving forward, they wouldn't be so desperate on the hard sell of like people buying $110 versions of the game. They want you to buy that version while you have sunshine and rainbows in your head about what it's going to be like to be in a HD graphic version of the Star Wars universe. Once you start playing the game, though, let's just say that you may have second thoughts about spending that money.
Okay, well, fair enough. We'll talk about that a little bit later in the games per minute section. But yeah, if you're a Star Wars fan, prepare your anus for all the money that you're going to be shitting out on all this stuff with no guarantee that the future movies are good and that you're going to remain a fan. I guess that's just how it goes when you're a fan of things. Be
a fan of people who are Star Wars fans. It's like being a religion. It's a religion. Like I've ranted about the prequels time and again, but I still keep coming back for more.
You like the Old Testament, you hate the New Testament. It's
yeah.
But what's consistent is that the church is still taking your fucking money. All right, man, we dropped like 2 F-bombs. This is gonna be a swear happy show. Let's keep it clean for the children's. Moving on.
But it's funny though. Moving on, we're moving on to another piece of my childhood, which is one that has yet to be violated, and that is the Back to the Future film. So Rocket League, one of Beau and my adored multiplayer experiences. We love to promote Rocket League. It's been great so far, although I haven't been able to play it recently. There's going to be a DLC pack. And because Rocket League doesn't like to unbalance the game or change anything, all their DLC packs are based on cosmetics, cars, doohickeys, so forth. So it's going to be Back to the Future themed. You're going to be able to get the DeLorean, and you'll be able to pair it with the DeLorean smoke. Sort of like, when they reach 88 miles per hour, Beau, they leave like fire tracks on the ground. So
nice.
That's going to be behind your Rocket League car, which honestly, don't get me wrong, I'm super excited, and this may be one part of cosmetic DLC that I will actually buy, but I anticipate 4-on-4 matches where everybody's the DeLorean. You know, like that's what's gonna happen.
That's fine. Because that's I mean, that's cosmetic microtransactions. You know, like you feel like this happens in Heroes and in MOBAs. You're like, man, I bought this like $20 skin. I'm special. But then you play a different hero, and then you log in, and someone else is playing your $20 skin. It's just like we're all just a bunch of suckers because it looks like something we love, and we want it in this other thing we love, and then they're going to clean up with it's like $2 US, I think, for this thing. I mean, a lot of people are going to buy this.
I'm going to pay it, and honestly, I just think that with this, it's going to be everybody. It's not just going to be like that other one guy. It's going to be everybody's going to have it.
At the very least, they'll get like a few interns, and they'll be able to pay them for like a year's work or something like that for this.
I would like to see them like so Back to the Future DeLorean. That's awesome. I'm totally up for that. But if they're going to delve into the world, if they have licensing with Universal or different companies, then I'm up for all sorts of movie cars.
I heard a rumor.
Like, what?
Mad Max cars.
Oh, I could see that makes perfect sense.
The Mad Max movie, pretty awesome, and yeah, Mad Max cars would be pretty cool.
And like when the new Ghostbusters comes out, they should have the Ghostbusters car, right?
Yeah. Oh man, we're gonna get into some funky areas. Like, what would we not want? Like Herbie the Love Bug?
No, I would definitely want Herbie the Love.
Well, what wouldn't we want then?
Well, I mean, like that's it. If it's a car from a movie, you're probably gonna want it. But say
how much
if all
licensed
those
material is too much?
What?
How much licensed material is too much?
Oh, no, for a game like Rocket League, as long as it doesn't change the balance of the game, bring it on, honestly. Like, and what's funny to me is like, say you had 20 cars from 20 different movies, I probably would like all of them, but the DeLorean from Back to the Future would be very high on my favorite. So I'm glad they're starting with this.
The only thing that might be higher would be the Batmobile, which Rocksteady could just import the assets into Rocket League, probably.
Yeah,
not the control scheme.
Tim Burton Batmobile, that'd be sweet. Yeah. But yeah, I think that's awesome. It's just something I want to highlight, and because it may be my first DLC purchase for Rocket League. So,
ooh, listen up, everyone.
Now, in the less fun news, one thing that's been sort of tearing up the internets this week has been Ubisoft and its latest controversy, and I feel. Yeah,
its latest.
I feel like it's been a year since Assassin's Creed Unity, so they were due for another controversy. And this one is about Heroes of Might and Magic, which has a sequel that's come out. Essentially, Ubisoft decided, for whatever reason, to pull the hard discs, like CDs and DVDs, out of the box for the North American version, just like ship the North American deluxe version. The base version was digital only, but the deluxe version, which was supposed to include a disc as well as certain other things, they just sent a download code and did not send the disc. And this guy, contacted Ubisoft customer support, got given sort of the runaround, and then posted on Reddit, the internet's favorite homepage, where people jumped on the bandwagon. I saw at one point it got voted to the top of the front page of Reddit, and now Ubisoft is pulling a 180, and it's like, whoa, yeah, sorry, our bad. Not only are we going to send anybody a disc who wants one, no, actually, I don't think they're sending people a disc. I think that's still an issue, but they're offering to refund people's money and give them a free game of a selection of games. So I think that's a good resolution, but I do think it's another one of these situations where you have to go public, you have to make a lot of noise before they'll honor, what they said.
All right, so was there anything in this digital CD? Was there any content above and beyond the base game that was expected? Like behind the scenes crap or anything like that? Yeah,
like you mean on the CD, or are you talking about there's like a map or something like hard copy stuff in the deluxe edition box?
Was the CD? Was there anything on the CD in addition to what might normally be on the CD?
No, I think it's just the game.
Okay, then that's all right. So that changes things, because I think like a collector's edition CD would be different than a regular CD, assuming the base game had a CD as well, right? There might be a video, a behind the scenes special for you, because you bought the collector's edition. So if it's the same thing as everyone, on one hand, I'm like, well, everyone just had a digital download. just download it and enjoy your collector's edition.
Well, you see,
but
the
hang
thing-
on. No, hang
All
on.
right.
But hang on. The collector's edition is for collecting. I don't even buy anything physical. So if you're in the day and age today that you actually buy something physical, you are a dinosaur of computers. Like, you don't need to buy anything physical. So if you are doing it, the company, who should have smart people working for them, should stop and say, these guys want the physical stuff. If we don't give them the physical stuff, then like, that's what they want. They don't want our convenience because we have Uplay or wherever, whatever the hell the other place they can buy it. So massive F up on the part of Ubisoft in this regard, if you ask me.
Yeah, and they advertise it in such a way that, like, the guy showed it that, you know, the regular edition was a PC download, the other version was, you know, PC. The deluxe edition came with the disc, and, like, honestly, I think about it, and there's some people that don't have access to internet to the same degree that we do, meaning that they might have some, you know, fairly decent internet, but there's people that downloading a like 8 gig game or whatever, it might not be easy for them, or it might require multiple days, or it might require a crazy amount of money in data or whatever, like depending on where they live. So, I mean, having that hard copy version is still, we're not fully transitioned to digital, especially outside of giant urban centers. And if a company is offering a way to play, and Might and Magic as well, this is an old school game. This is a game that I could see the gaming age, the median age, being an older gamer, one that may be less prone to the shift. So, I mean, if you're advertising something, you got to live up to what you're advertising, and you can't just be like, oh, we ran out of discs. Because the kicker is they sent the discs to Europe. Like the European version came with the disc. It was just North America that got hosed.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh,
so
that's even worse. That makes it even worse. Like, because we half shipped a product and we're like, you guys don't matter. You guys understand, right? Like, yeah.
It's funny just how like Ubisoft is through these little things. They're really not big things, but they continually tarnish their reputation. And I know that generally they strive to make good games. They've recently announced that new Far Cry with the cavemen and all that sort of stuff, and they're games that people legitimately are interested in and want to play. But for some reason, they keep sticking their foot in the mud and making these dumb mistakes. So hopefully they get their shit together and are just a little better organized, because I feel bad seeing them. Everybody loves to shit on them now, and I don't necessarily think that they totally deserve it, but they're making it hard for us to defend them. That's for sure.
I agree completely. All right. So Ubisoft, get your poop together. Now, speaking of getting your poop together, there's another company out there that took a poop and they didn't keep it together. Looking at you, I believe it's Electronic Arts, right? That EA runs the Call of Duty franchise, right?
Nope. EA's Battlefield, Call of Duty's Activision.
All right. So Activision, is it Activision Blizzard or the Activision side of
Blizzard? It's the Activision side of Activision Blizzard.
All right. Well, actually, it's developer Treyarch who's apologizing for their Twitter debacle. And what's happened was that they took their widely followed and verified Twitter account and dressed it up, changed the picture and usernames and stuff to spoof a news organization called Current Events Aggregate. And what they did was they were make-believing that there was a terrorist attack taking place in Singapore live. And what the issue is with that is, if you follow Call of Duty, maybe you understand, and the marketing is like you thumbs up it. But this stuff was getting retweeted and identified as news or real problem happening in Singapore. And they were criticized for it. I mean, this happened maybe like a week ago. They've been criticized for it. So the company has stepped forward and said, well, they've said this. Here, let me paraphrase from the article on IGN. Here's my view. This is, who's this gentleman speaking? Jason Blundell, Treyarch's Jason Blundell. Here's my view, and again, I'm a simple director and not involved in the marketing at all. However, it was absolutely not done for any kind of attention in any way. It was not done maliciously or as any kind of scare tactic. I am personally very sorry for anyone who looked at it and got the wrong idea, because it genuinely wasn't meant that way. It was done on our channel, and it was to talk about the fiction of the world. I think we were as shocked as everyone else when it started blowing up, because essentially we were teeing up ready for a story beat. So sorry for everyone who took it that way. It wasn't meant that way at all. They were just getting ready for a campaign element. Yeah, that's not what Twitter's for, guys. There are people who go on Twitter who make fictionalized accounts of things. Some of them we say they're cool for doing these kinds of things because they're essentially harmless. They are not pretending to be news sites reporting about fake current events in a spoofing way. So The Onion may do that, but everyone knows The Onion is The Onion. And the fact that they don't and people can get confused is already a bit troubling. But if you're playing with terrorist fire, that's bad. That is bad. Bad, Treyarch. Bad.
Yeah, what's funny though is like two things. One is, you're right, it's bad, it's stupid. Also, he should shut up because he is not involved. He's not a marketing guy. And his defense for what they're doing is ridiculous. And I think that, he's trying to demean the fact that it may have been important to someone. It might have scared someone, whatever. And he's trying to be like, oh, come on, chill out, folks. No harm was meant. But, that's the marketing team's mistake. And it's up to the corporate overlords to sort of clear the air.
They work for somebody, so the person above them is responsible. You can't just be like, well, I just hired them to do some stuff.
No, but he's a developer, right? Like he's not the corporate wing of like.
But he's speaking on behalf of the company, right?
What? He shouldn't be speaking on behalf of the company.
It's Jason Blundell from Treyarch. It's the guy who made the dude.
It's the developer, but he's not Activision Blizzard, right? Treyarch is owned by Activision, and they're just his beef, I'm sure, is that he's made this game with his team, and like now it's getting negative press due to something that was completely out of his hands, done by the marketing of Activision Blizzard.
Okay, so what you're saying.
But so he's pissed about that, but instead of like turning on his company and saying like, these guys fucked up and blah 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 blah, I find he's kind of being a little flippant. First off, nobody like, the first thing, if I'm developer of a game like this, I shut up. I let the corporate overlords handle this sort of thing. This shouldn't be something that Jason wades into. But if he's going to wade into it, then he should be categorically condemning this sort of advertisement, and not being like, people need to chill out or whatever. Like he hasn't said that word for word, but he's essentially saying that, no harm was meant. But it sounds extremely insincere to me.
No, it sounds like the kid in high school who's like, you're making fun of somebody and then they get caught, and the kid's like, well, we were just like having a bit of fun. Everyone was laughing. It's not a big deal. People make jokes. And it's like, no, you shouldn't call people that are overweight fat and point and laugh at them. Like, it's like that. That's like his when I read that, I'm like, that's exactly what it sounds. This guy's saying like, hey, it's just a story arc. We're just doing this thing. Like, it's not a big deal. Let me be dismissive of the serious claims here. We're just playing video games. And, Call of Duty in particular has a history of depicting terrorism in a way that a lot of people are uncomfortable with, but I'm all for them having the freedom of expression in their games to show the vision they'd like. Twitter's different.
You got to draw the line with real life.
That's not your game. That's not in your game. So it's not clever.
Makes sense. Makes sense. I agree. I think we're on the same page here. Both Activision and Jason are kind of out to lunch. Well, but I somehow doubt this is going to affect any sales of Call of Duty in any negative way.
Yeah, all the Call of Duty fans are like, awesome, man. They stuck it to everyone. F everybody. All right.
Speaking of hardcore fans, the Halo 5 launch trailer for gameplay just came out. And I actually watched this, Beau. You highlighted this for me, and this may be the first time in Exclamation Mark history where we both watched a trailer, assuming you watched it as well.
I did indeed. I did.
Did you play Halo 4?
Did I play Halo 4? No. In fact, I may not have even really played Halo 3. I bought it, and I played the first bit of it. I owned it for Xbox 360. But I kind of just didn't play it.
I dropped off of Halo after Halo 3, which sort of finished that trilogy, and then I never played Halo Reach and I never played Halo 4, both of which are supposedly really good. I had just kind of had my fill at that point. I watched the trailer for Halo 5 though, and I gotta admit, I was like, oh man, that looks pretty sweet. Like, I like the idea of the Master Chief being on the run and people hunting him. It was a good use of music. They had Muse in there, which I thought was sick.
Oh, Muse, that song was really good, yeah.
Just well used too. Like everything looks nice. I again, it's not. I own the PS4. I don't own the Xbox One. I don't think that like Halo 5 by itself, no matter how well received it is, like I could get Halo 4 on my Xbox 360 and catch up or whatever. And I have not done that yet. So clearly it's not that near and dear to my heart, but now having seen that trailer, I'm going to keep a little bit of a closer eye on the reviews and see how it comes out. Cause if it's super awesome, then, maybe at one point, I'll add it to my list of reasons to look at the Xbox One.
Yeah, Halo's one of those things where it's like I've never been a huge fan, but I've never been a hater of it. Like I've loved Halo in the zeitgeist, I guess you could say. And I watched the trailer, and it was the first time in a while that I've seen a Halo trailer that I've been like, hey, this game looks kind of exciting. I kind of dig where the story is, and Master Chief is an iconic character, right? We haven't seen who he is, right? That's part of his deal.
Right.
Yeah, that's one of the things that I love, even though maybe I'm not the biggest Halo fans. It's one of the things I love about Halo is that he's got the Gordon Freeman effect going on, where you can endow him with his personality because he's.
But in Gordon Freeman's case, it made no sense. He has like this pinched beard or whatever, and looks like a nerd. And then, in like people would be having these conversations with him, and he just seems super rude. Where what they did well in Halo, I thought, is that the Master Chief seldom speaks, but he does speak from time to time. Says a couple of things here or there, normally super awesome before shooting someone. So I was like, oh, they did a really good job at building him as a character, and so I'd be tentatively interested in, and honestly, the PS4 has nothing really to stack up this holiday season as an exclusive against Halo 5. Like, I don't know. They had Bloodborne earlier this year. It was well received.
No exclusives, just non-exclusives.
Yeah, non-exclusives.
Yeah, like Fallout 4, but that's on every system, etc.
Yeah, and Xbox One will have the exclusive mods to Fallout 4, right?
That leads us into our next article, actually, if you've said everything you had to say about Halo.
Sure.
All right. So, so the Xbox boss, that is Phil Spencer. You may have seen him in various conventions. He's become kind of a visible guy. The guy who at the conference was like, Xbox all about television and movies, and everyone was like, boo.
Was that Phil Spencer that said that?
I think he was up there. I don't know if it was him, but I'm pretty sure he was there. He seems like a cool guy, though. I don't mean to rag on him. I just think Xbox has a vision, but now they're coming out and saying, after admitting PS4 has a huge lead, they say they're focused on gamers. So, long story short, this article in GameSpot that I read was simply that they're admitting that they're behind, and that they're attributing it to a need on their part to focus on what gamers want and not what the rest of the entertainment pantheon, like how they can be the box in your living room. Gamers are kind of, their market. They're recognizing their market as gamers. They're recognizing that PlayStation has the gamers in mind and Xbox is perceived as not. They're saying, oh, we're not chasing after or trying to beat Sony. We're just trying to get as many customers as we can, and that they're acknowledging it and they're making efforts to it. It's hard to tell whether they're talking to gamers or talking to shareholders. But clearly, as you mentioned, I was thinking about, when you said that statement about, this Halo 5 is the only exclusive for Xbox, I'm like, no, surely PlayStation 4 has stuff. And then you're like, no. And I'm like, oh, they don't. And I'm like, PlayStation 4 doesn't need it because everyone owns PlayStation 4, so they're going to buy Fallout 4, and they're going to buy all these games for their PlayStation, not for the dumb Xbox One. And I'm sorry to call it dumb. Maybe it's great, but that's my my consumer perception of Xbox is that it's the lame horse or the lame duck in this race between the two consoles. I would probably buy a PlayStation 4 over an Xbox One if I had to buy one tomorrow. Crofton, your take on this news?
When you're the leader, you don't have to do much, right? And
No.
PS4 is definitely the leader, 'cause ever since Xbox and Microsoft, as you said, shot themselves in the foot in the announcement of the Xbox One. Since that time, there's been a lot of comparison between the games that come out on both consoles. Generally, the best version tends to be the PS4 version. So, by and large, it seems to be a more powerful console. Xbox has found its footing since then, and they have a lot more exclusive games that are upcoming and announced for their system. So I feel like that's going to. We'll see if that can turn the tide or not, right?
Yeah.
But I feel that Microsoft has put a lot of emphasis in PC gaming, especially with the release of Windows 10. There's a lot of games that are going to come out for Xbox and Windows or whatever, and I feel like that's going to cut into them as people are upgrading computers for Windows 10. They may have computers that can run more high performance games. So you need to like. It really has to be a situation where the Xbox is the only place they can get the game. And that's becoming less and less common. Now, there still are games. So this fall, they have Halo 5 and they have Rise of the Tomb Raider. Now, Rise of the Tomb Raider is a timed exclusive. It's going to come out on PC and PS4, but I think like a year later, or 6 months to PC and then another 6 months to PS4, something like that.
Wow.
So it's whatever, timed exclusive. And they have Halo 5. That's alongside Star Wars Battlefront, Metal Gear Solid 5, like all the big hitters that are coming out in the fall season. So, I mean, like they're making all the right moves with the console that they have, but to get a lead back or to catch up in the video game market, I mean, it's not easy. Like
it's a perception thing, right? Like they positioned themselves that way when they announced it, and that's what people think.
They definitely have to overcome, and people think that the best version of the game is on PS4. So you're always buying the PS4 version if you have both consoles. So then that leaves you with, what are you buying for the Xbox One? So they have to reach a point where they have at least 5-6 killer games that people want to play on Xbox One. And while I think Halo 5 is going to be a huge hit for their market, their demographic, I don't think it's going to draw in new people. What they need is some breakout hits that I'll look at and be like, oh man, I really want to try that game. I know what a Halo game is. I can play other Halo games on some of my previous consoles. The only people that are gonna want Halo 5 are people who already own an Xbox One. They've already bought it because they know Halo's coming. So, I mean...
Yeah, that's true. That's a really good point. And you mentioned that, too. The other thing that was really interesting about the evolution of the Xbox 360 was that I think it was the first among the two consoles to introduce gaming, indie gaming. Like, they had the arcade, right? So you could download the small games. Like, you had a more robust gaming experience on X. At least I felt that way as a consumer. Whereas I feel like PlayStation is like, oh, okay, we need to catch up and do that stuff. They did. They released a new console, and they have PlayStation Plus and all kinds of great, like their ecosystem is robust, where Microsoft's like, oh, well, we've conquered gaming. Let's conquer movies and television and sports.
Yeah.
And that's in my mind, that is what I equivocate the Xbox to. And unfortunately, hardcore gamers just want to be filleted about games, like over games. They don't want to hear about all the other crap because their identity is that I don't care about that stuff, I care about games. And casuals look at computer nerds and say, what do the computer nerds say? Well, they're all going this way. Well, let me follow them and get, because they don't necessarily, like, some people just buy Xbox because maybe they like it, but most people I know that don't know about games and computers ask one of their expert jerk friends like me that like, well, PC gaming is the best, so you really should go that direction. Like, we're the consultants on this. So if the core gamer group is not like, you are bending over backwards to cater to gaming, capital G gaming, you won't get a recommend from us, and consequently, casuals won't get a recommendation either. That's my analysis. It's all out of my butt and makes zero sense and based on zero facts. But I like it.
We're gonna eventually hit that generation where people all have consoles, even if they don't play games, because they double as entertainment centers. Like honestly, right now I'm watching the NHL on my NHL app on the PS4. Netflix is on my PS4. I've got a lot of like custom apps for different video things on my PS4. All it's becoming my center entertainment hub. You can get Spotify, all that sort of thing. Xbox One, you can do the same sort of stuff. So in the future, like right now, the future is still decided by gamers. At one point, it may be decided by who can offer the best entertainment features, but we're still not at that point yet.
Yeah. All right. Well, good stuff. This is a good conversation. If you don't have anything else to add, we're gonna get to the next item.
That we still got more news.
We still got more news. All right, let's cover these a couple real quick. Star Citizen, you know that game that we talked about last week where they're embezzling money or something? Just kidding. We don't know if that's the case. We know where the money's going, though. They've announced in their single-player campaign for Squadron 42, they have a pile of big-name actors who are taking all the money. Gary Oldman, the racist, and Mark Hamill. Mark Hamill, the guy that's going to be in Star Wars, is going to be...
who was in Wing Commander.
And Wing Commander is going to be in Star Citizen. This is a huge get. This is probably the biggest name for me in this list, and I'm sure it costed them.
I don't think Mark Hamill would have cost them more money than Gary Oldman, honestly.
Well, I don't know, though. Well,
Mark
I have no
Hamill
idea. You know what? I have no idea. I'm staying away from it. Maybe whatever. You're probably right. Gillian Anderson, also a big get. Huge nerd cred. People love her in Hannibal. They love her in The X-Files, which a new season is coming. People are excited about that. Also,
or my erotic fan fiction, The Sex Files, with me and Agent Scully investigating sex crimes.
That joke has never been made. That is the first time that joke has ever been uttered. Congratulations on your originality.
Thank you. Triple X Files.
Also joining the cast is Andy Serkis, Gollum, and the South African guy in the Avengers 2 movie, who's I think got some role to play in the upcoming movies, among other things. But I don't know who Ben Mendelsohn is, but yay! And who's Mark Strong? I don't know the other. Mark Strong.
Mark Strong's a famous British guy. He was in a Sherlock Holmes movie as a bad guy.
All right, so that guy's in it. Harry Treadway, Jack Houston, and John Rhys Davies. And John Rhys Davies sounds familiar. He played Gimli in the. He played Gimli in the Lord of the Rings, and he was
Sal in Indiana Jones.
Oh, that's right. That's right. All right. So this is a strong cast list of not the usual names you find in video games, except for, I think, Mark Hamill, who does the Joker, among many other voices. Pretty interesting pile of names. So,
did you watch the trailer?
I didn't. There was a trailer? Yeah. I didn't even see it.
Yeah, it's Gary Oldman. He's speaking like he's doing sort of a pro-war speech at some sort of rah-rah speech in front of some sort of Congress or whatever. It's kind of cheesy, what have you. But at the same point, it seemed good. Graphics seemed all right. Like they tried to render his face. It's not LA Noire, but it's pretty good.
I'm basically kind of ignoring Star Citizen until they have some sort of commercial release. I just don't understand how I'm supposed to start playing this game. So
see, and the other thing in Squadron 42 is like the single player campaign, and like for me, when they release that, that's probably when I'll start getting into that game. But when I mentioned last week about all the scandals surrounding Star Citizen, one of the things the ex-employees were pointing to was that they said a bunch of money was being that Chris Roberts, the accusation was that Chris Roberts, and his wife is an aspiring actress, and he wanted to be a filmmaker or something like that, and that's why the Wing Commanders had full motion video previously, and now he's loving the opportunity to work with a bunch of big Hollywood celebrities, and he's throwing a bunch of the money around on that and doing commercials with Hollywood celebrities. And they kind of tried to refute it a little bit, but they knew that this announcement was coming up, so they couldn't refute it too much. So what that leads me to be concerned about is if the accusation is true that he's just blowing money on big name actors, and now we see that it may be true. If that's true, then like maybe some of the other accusations are true as well from these ex-employees, and that kind of makes me a little nervous because a lot of them were about how bad the development was of this game. So hopefully it's hopefully this is just good news, but like in the context of what we knew last week, it does seem it does bode ill for the future of Star Citizen.
Well, we'll see. Maybe he's just misunderstood and internal communications are, not great or something. I mean,
Let's hope so, Beau.
let's
hope so.
But I mean, I don't care. You know what? I'm at the point now where Star Citizen has been baking so long that I'm like, you know what? Don't release it. Just if the thing fails, whatever. Like No Man's Sky is coming. Elite Dangerous is coming.
Beau, if Star
Make me
Citizen
care about Star Citizen, damn you.
If Star Citizen fails me, I don't know where I'll turn. I will be so lost.
You'll
I will
play
need
Batman,
some sort of...
and you'll play this other game that we found some new information about.
I'll need some miracle game from the heavens, Beau. What will save me?
Cyberpunk 2077.
Oh, Beau, you're just teasing me now.
Nope, I'm not. So this was an interesting little news article, and again, it's someone from CD Projekt Red just kind of spoke out of turn, and maybe said a thing that the company wasn't prepared for them to say. Not a big deal. He says it was this. Who's the guy's name? Jose Teixeira or Teixeira. I'm not sure how to pronounce that last name, but
Now you're just making up names. Beau.
He is the visual effects artist there, or a visual effects artist. He says Cyberpunk is far bigger than anything else that CD Projekt Red has done before.
Wait.
Far bigger. We're really stepping into the unknown in terms of complexity and size and problems we encounter.
Bigger? Is it bigger than The Witcher 3?
If anything, working on Witcher 3 was a really good and awful brooding learning experience. Cyberpunk's going... Yeah, they said bigger. Hang on. I don't want to read the entire thing. But it's going to be bigger than Witcher 3. This means two things. One, I haven't played Witcher 3. I know.
It's
but
amazing.
From Crofton's opinion on it, it's very good. And this is
huge.
Cyberpunk, which I love Cyberpunk. Deus Ex is like my favorite games.
Yeah.
I know I will go into this game loving it. So if it's bigger, I'm like, yes, they made the one I wanted later and it's bigger. But the other thing is that bigger can mean like epic failure in terms of, they're 60% into developing it and they just scrapped the project because it's just gotten too unwieldy. So, Kingdoms of Amalur style.
They'll have control of this. Like, I'm not.
They have a good pedigree, so I have faith in it, which is why this will hurt even more. But dude, that trailer alone has just sold me on the game.
I bet it'll come out in it'll come out in a crazy amount of time.
Yeah. It's gonna be a while.
You have to understand, dude, playing The Witcher 3, the amount of work in that game is ridiculous. Like, it is so huge that I mean, not just huge in like, it's easy to make, not easy, but like you look at a game like No Man's Sky, which is like infinitely randomly generated and all this sort of stuff. Yes, that's huge in scope. But The Witcher 3 is huge in handcrafted detail, both in everything from quests to environments to clothes to everything. Like, it's just so rich and so full that to imagine something even bigger than that, of that quality, and I'm hoping that like Cyberpunk 2077 will be similar in build, even if it was a mod for The Witcher 3, I would be happy.
But
like,
here's what I imagine though, because when they say bigger, 'cause I don't know that it necessarily means that it's going to cover more physical space, because Cyberpunk, it takes place in urban settings, right? So what if when they're making Cyberpunk, it's like there's an apartment building and they populate each unit in that detail. Like, think about all the work it would take to do one apartment complex in an urban setting. And what if those were all fully explorable? That'd be crazy, right? Like, that's crazy.
Yeah, it would be crazy. It would be crazy. But like Novigrad in Witcher 3, the biggest city, isn't like, you can't necessarily go into every house or whatever. Because just by proxy, like, people they lock their doors. Narratively, it didn't make a ton of sense, and they didn't want to waste resources there. But like, there's just like, if every character you could talk to has like some crazy story, like, I mean, that's a lot in itself. Anyway, let's not go speculation crazy.
Again, another issue too is the urban areas are denser. In order for it to feel, that's the one thing I hate about Deus Ex Human Revolution, is that you are downtown, but it doesn't feel dense with human population like a city like Detroit and What's the name of the place they go to in China? I can't remember.
Shanghai?
No, it's Ming or Cheese. I can't remember. Anyways, I don't want to get it wrong, but there's they go to China. They fly to. It's not Hong Kong. It's another city. Anyways, whatever. The point being is that they didn't feel like populated the way an urban area feels populated. So when they say complexity and scale, I think in terms of density, not in terms of you're going to be able to explore all the United States or something, or all of like Denmark or wherever it takes place.
Maybe they'll render all of Coruscant.
Oh my god, a game that renders everything in Coruscant it'd be stupid to make, because who could explore it all? But that would be the point of doing it. Anyways, that's been your news. We're going to move on now, because I think Crofton really, really wants to talk about this thing most of all in the games per minute.
You're always talking about making kids' minds like vegetables. Talk about them out in the street smoking pot.
This is Games Per Minute.
How do you feel about cutting his head off? Fun.
All right, it's Game Per Minute, where we talk about the games we've been playing. Crofton, have you been playing a new game that you haven't talked about before?
I've been playing a new game, Beau.
What is it?
Okay, let's talk about this, because I'm totally prone to ranting as well. You know that I'm playing the Star Wars Battlefront beta. I played it this weekend.
What? You're playing Star Wars Battlefront? How? How did you get into the beta?
Everybody can get in. You just download it. Yeah, okay. Gotcha. So here, ask me questions, and I will, right. And then I'll start there. You ask me questions.
Do you feel like you're in the Star Wars movie? Is it like?
No.
Okay.
Next question.
Did you? Wow, that's like, I don't think I need to talk about that, because that's what it sells itself on. So forget because I don't care about that. It's a Battlefield game, right? I don't care that it's a Battlefield game, because I know that's an established franchise with parameters, and they're just putting the Star Wars spin on it. So I don't care. I'm not like, what are the Battlefront mechanics? I care about, what are the franchise-specific things that make me want to play this? So you're saying if it doesn't make me feel like it's in the movie, then I guess my next question is, what is crappy about the assets?
I didn't say it didn't make you feel like the movie. It definitely goes very deep in trying to do that. But what was your exact question before? It was like, if it feels
like... Do you feel like you're in the film? I think it's supposed to be like you're in one of those epic fights.
No, it feels like it feels like when you play a Star Wars video game. So like you feel like you're playing a game that's in Star Wars, but you're always cognizant that it's a video game. You don't think you're in the movie.
Right. Okay. So it's not an immersive experience, which
no.
But by the same token, because I know this is a particular nuance with you, is that you have high standards for immersion, where if there's a clock in the corner, it pisses you off, like a clock at real time. Whereas I'm like, that doesn't affect my sense of immersion. So people are different that way. So do the assets relay to you a strong sense of place inside the original trilogy when you play?
Okay, yes. Like, they've clearly spent most of their money, time, and resources on graphics, okay? Graphics, and like they've gone to little details, like they've found original props from the game. They've scanned them, and like when shots hit the wall, they make the exact same sounds, shoot off in sparks. The musical score is there and all that. But it's tempered by the fact that now, Beau, we've talked before about like the original PlanetSide and how when we would play the original PlanetSide, you just run around, you could go get into a ship, you would see your guy like get into the ship, and there'd be an animation, and you'd take off. And in PlanetSide 2, when they launched that, they did away with all that stuff. You just magically appeared in things.
Right.
In Battlefront, it's I would say even worse. So they don't have, and I recognize this is a beta, so there's some things that can be changed. There's some things I know won't be changed because a beta is almost done. Like there's balance tweaking, and everybody's bitching about the balance, and we can talk about that in a sec. But the vehicles in the original Battlefield and the original Star Wars Battlefront games, you could find a vehicle, you could get in it, you could start driving it. In Battlefront, it's not at all like that. It's like you find these power-up icons strewn across the map, and sometimes they're weapons. Like you'll find it'll be like a bomb, or it'll be a squad force field or something like that.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's access to a vehicle. And then you'll have that for like 15 seconds to cash it in. If you don't cash it in, then you don't get access to that vehicle. So, for example, a TIE fighter icon, and then you walk on it, and it'll say TIE fighter, and then there'll be a 15-second counter, and then you have to hit two buttons, and you'll transform into a TIE fighter in the sky. Like, your guy will get down on his knees, and he'll talk into a radio being like, we need TIE fighter support. And then all of a sudden, you're in a TIE fighter above. So there's no, like, getting into a TIE fighter. It's getting some sort of pickup on the ground. And it's the same with becoming a hero like Luke Skywalker or Darth Vader. You'll see a token on the you'll pick up a token, and it'll be a hero, and then you have to hit the button before your 15 seconds elapses. And the reason they have that timer is because while you have it, nobody else can have it. So nobody else can be a hero. There's a limited amount of you can't just all get in spaceships. There's probably like six spaceships.
Are there
or
people
something.
like not concentrating on map objectives in order to ton tokens just to become?
Fuck yes. Oh man, I spent half my time looking for tokens. I wanted to get the experience of all these
That
things,
seems
right?
like a bad mechanic.
Yeah, I was like, where are they? And then you start memorizing where like certain tokens are. But the thing is, the tokens won't always be there because if they're in use, they're not there, right?
Yeah.
So like if there's
I imagine they have a cooldown once they've been like once you're Luke Skywalker and you get killed or your timer runs out. There's a cooldown on when you can get it again. Like you have to do something to trigger it again, maybe.
Well, the hero ones I think are randomly placed on the map, but the ship ones tended to be in the same spots, but they would be gone. Like so, then you'd have like three guys just waiting there for a ship one to spawn, and all running to try and get it, or whatever. Or like that didn't happen too often. Mostly people would be like, "Oh, there's none there," so that they keep playing. But let's say of the 100% of time I spent playing, I only was in a ship for maybe 2% of that time. And I would say that that's also there's 3 modes available in the beta, and that was vehicles were only available in one of those 3 modes, which is Walker Assault, which was the 20 versus 20 Battle of Hoth mode, which I think is the best. Like it's the coolest, most visually impressive, most like feeling like you're in Star Wars mode, in my opinion, but it's probably the most broken too.
Well, I mean, I kind of like the idea of the big map mechanics. It does remind me of Heroes a bit, but okay.
Ask me more questions.
I don't know, man. Like the only thing I care about with respect to this game is the Star Wars aspect of it. So, because I'm not a Battlefield or Battlefront player, like I've played the Xbox original. There was a Battlefront game on there. I've played it and thought it was a stupid game. I didn't like that game.
You might know like this.
Yeah. Thing. So how similar is it then to previous Battlefront installments?
I think that everybody will genuinely find it probably to be a less good game, but maybe more immersive on the Star Wars front. Like, I will say that it's this is the thing. I think that they've set themselves up for failure, and I'll tell you why. I think that they are courting to a certain extent. Hardcore video gamers that are used to playing and ranking up characters in Call of Duty, in Battlefield, all those types of games that are used to like headshots and this and that. Like really, there's a reason that many new players don't pick up those games because they're already filled with millions of experts. And I think the idea with Star Wars is that, it'd be something that'd be a little easier. I will put that to rest right now. I was last in almost every match I played. I got a little bit better in time, but I just got killed over and over and over. And I don't want to shit on the game for this. Honestly, it's really not the game's fault that I fucking suck. What is going to be problematic is that you're going to have people that are going to be looking for a Star Wars experience, Star Wars fantasy fulfillment, that are going to start this game, see all the commercials, see all the graphics, and are going to die over and over and over, and then are going to quit, and they're going to be pissed, and they're going to feel like they wasted their money or wasted their time and all this because it's not the game they look for. Meanwhile, all the people like the Call of Duty players and the Battlefield players are complaining nonstop about how unbalanced the game is. And it is quite unbalanced in this stage. It's unbalanced, imbalanced in a way that the lore makes sense. Like, for example, right now in the Walker Assault, it's very easy for the Imperials to win. Which kind of
the battle. The battle is that it's overwhelming odds, right?
I know it is that, but I guess like these guys, like, you know, in the world of esports and in the world like what is valued more than balance is nothing. Balance is the be all end all, and the game doesn't have that. And so these guys they're gonna play it for a bit. They'll be like, okay, this sucks. It's not balanced. We're gonna go back to our whatever military shooter that they're playing. Meanwhile, all the Star Wars people are gonna go in. They're gonna get killed by those good people. Then they're gonna quit. And I think that within like a couple of months after launch, this game is going to be dead in the water. Like that's my prediction. I don't see it.
I think you made a very astute point with the divisiveness of the people who want the casual experience of Star Wars versus the people who want to balance. It's like the game isn't for anyone because it's not a gameplay first game, and yet it's not a wish fulfillment game first game where it's like that's why a campaign might have been better. But everyone wants replayability, and like you just can't satisfy everything when you.
No, like, this is the game that needed the campaign. If anyone, and like, there's been so many like Titanfall, Evolve, all these games multiplayer only. Some of them like Evolve, I think, are designed to be multiplayer only. But this game feels like it's missing a campaign. It needs a campaign, and I'll tell you what. It also feels like a prototype that is, and I know it's a beta, I'm fully cognizant of that, but like it's going to be launched in a month. And at that time, after it bombs, they're going to take all the assets from this game and they're going to make the game that people actually do want. It's like, you know, when the first Assassin's Creed came out and people were like, oh, there's not enough to do. And then the next game came out and everyone's like, yay, it's amazing. Well, this will be the same deal. People are going to come out for the whiz-bang graphics. They're going to buy a shit ton of copies and then they're all going to leave. But then when the next Star Wars game comes out and it has a single player campaign, because the only single player component in this was a horde mode with waves of AI component guy, and that was a lot more fun because first of all I wasn't dying all the time, and second of all it's fun seeing the stormtroopers like not be elite killing machines like they are in multiplayer, but seeing them just like die a whole bunch as you just randomly shoot at them. So that's fun, but it's not obviously not going to warrant a $50, $60 purchase. But I totally see, getting back to the seasons passes, how they're going to release these giant new maps to try and extend the life of the game. You know, Walker Assault, like I'm sick of Hoth now. I've done this map a zillion times. Over the course of one weekend, I'm pretty much done with it. And so I would, you know, if they then we're like, oh, this next one is on Tatooine or this next one is whatever, and it's $10 or whatever. I totally could see people shelling out for that. So I see how the season's pass is going to unfold. I just honestly, this game has gotten a lot of positive hype, and I think there's about 10 minutes of it when you start that's the whiz bang. Oh man, listen to the sounds. Oh man, I'm in Star Wars. Oh da 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 da, and then things start falling apart pretty quick after that.
Yeah, that's exactly how I expected the response to kind of go. I think it's probably... it's not going to be a long-term commitment game for people. It's not a lifestyle game. It's a novelty game. Like, it just screams that from front to back. And if there's nothing in the game that keeps people coming back, then what is it? I
do feel, though, that, like... It's one of those things where it won all these best of E3 awards. Everybody was giving it a ton of attention, bending over backwards to like say how great it was. And then now we're in this sort of situation where the betas come out, people have played it, and I can understand why if you're on a show floor in a giant auditorium in LA, you can be like, wow, look, it's Star Wars, listen to the sounds, wow, boom, boom, boom. But as soon as you're actually sitting at home playing it, it gets old fast. So we'll see. They have time to tweak things, and I think they're going to devote their energy to game balance. That seems to be the response I've gotten. I've gotten the sense for. So maybe they'll get to keep some of those Call of Duty Battlefield players, but I don't think they'll keep the Star Wars enthusiasts much past the launch of the movie.
All right. Well, you heard it here first, man. Not very not very enthusiastic response on the part of Crofton about Star Wars Battlefield. And certainly, I didn't play it because I don't feel like it's worth my time. I'm not like, ooh, beta. Like, the only thing interesting about it is the novelty of the Star Wars. That's all I care about with this product. And the images in the trailer look sweet. So I hope I get a chance to try it for free, as I'm definitely not paying full price for that game.
The last thing I'd see is the animation's a little bit wonky, and the hero units, which is a holdover of the previous Battlefront games, really make no sense.
But
with the improved graphics, they really and there is something like pants pissing about being stuck in the Hoth base with the narrow walls and then turning a corner and having Darth Vader right there. Because they are super overpowered. They will literally murder you. The only way you can take down a hero is in a large group. There's no chance otherwise. But the thing is that like the weather effects don't affect what they're wearing. You know, if there's snow, they're not going to have snow on them. They look kind of they're very video gamey, I feel, and it just takes away from the immersiveness of like this giant battle on Hoth, you know. So
yeah, all right, well,
Beau, what have you been playing? I've been talking.
Sorry, I'm like, my Battlefield attention is starting to wane. I'm very sorry. I was like, I'm gonna admit it because I'm like, I can't.
No, but your Battlefront attention may be, but that's what we're talking about this week. And honestly, next week it'll be gone because the beta will be gone. So might as well get it all out now while it's fresh in the mind.
Great. Well, so I've, of course, been playing a ton of Heroes. That goes without saying. But I've also been playing this new game that I got gifted to me called Darkest Dungeon. It's on sale this week for like $10 on Steam.
I've heard about this.
It's an indie game. It was Kickstartered. I don't know a lot about the Kickstarter or origin story, but I did see it on Steam, and I did put it on my wish list because it looked awesome. And so it's pretty well along for early access. It's still in early access, but it's pretty close.
It's in early access.
It's pretty close. Well, it was Kickstartered, then it was in early access. They plan on releasing it before the end of 2015. It's pretty well along. It's just missing the last area. So if you think of a game like Rogue Legacy, right? It's very similar in that you're going in to do dungeon runs. But the difference is Rogue Legacy is a 2D platformer type of game. This is very much a turn-based tactical combat, like a Final Fantasy type game, where you pick your move and then your enemy picks a move, and there's all sorts of pen and paper RPG stats. So you have accuracy and to hit. What makes this game unique, however, is that there's permadeath. So you make a party of 4 guys that can all permanently die, a la FTL, for example, or any roguelike.
So it's a roguelike?
It's got roguelike elements in it for sure. So the one thing that makes this game great, again, is the roguelike elements. The other thing is you have a stress meter. And this is the part that's awesome. The horrors of the dungeon stress you out. And so if someone critical hits you, you also get stressed. If you see something scary, you get stressed. And stress doesn't go away. Once your stress meter gets to 100, you get an affliction. And that means you might become fearful. You might become abusive. So you start abusing the other party members. The one character who gets afflicted will say like, oh, I would have done better if I were you. And then that guy gets stressed out. And then everyone gets these afflictions. And it F's you up. And if you get 200 stress, your guy has a heart attack and dies because he's just way too stressed out. So so not only do you have to manage an HP pool, you have to not get stressed. And when you go to town, your stress doesn't go away. You have to go to either the Abbey or the Tavern, and you can visit the brothel to relieve stress, or you can go get flagellated in the Abbey. You can go do flagellation in the Abbey to relieve stress. So
I'll go with the brothel.
You get whipped and punished for your. It's amazing. And the best part about this mechanic is that there is a small chance that instead of getting an affliction when you get stressed, your guy can instead become awesome. So like whenever you're getting stressed out, you're like, oh, please become awesome. And every now and then your guy's like, yeah, I'm vigorous. And then their stress meter goes down to 0 and they're super badass. It is an amazing mechanic in a game because when you get the badass bonus rather than being afflicted, it's just a great feeling. It's just super. And the art, it's not very complex art. It's all 2D art, but it's very well done. It looks very pretty, and it has that like Cthulhu art aesthetic. Love this game. 2 pieces. I am hooked. So yeah, that's what I've been playing. I love that game. Darkest Dungeon,
So,
super good.
and you're saying like for an early access game, it's pretty much done.
It's well polished. So the way it works, like it's
So why is it not released? I guess.
I think they're still adding some. I didn't really delve into the notes too
Yeah.
much because my plan was to wait for it to release and then look at picking it up. But I got it early. Someone gifted it to me, so like I just jumped in and started playing now. Why would I wait? And
Yeah, no, makes sense.
it's just a great. It's so much fun. It's just my kind of game. And like there's only 4 zones. And it's all random, procedurally generated. So you take a party, I go to the Warrens, and I do a Warrens run. And the combat's fun. The tension of not getting stressed out is super fun. I like the game. It's very basic in a way, but it's just my jam. So that's what I've been playing.
Yeah, no, that's cool. Honestly, I remember seeing that game on Steam at one point, and I think early access scared me off. I heard other people talk, I think on another podcast actually, about that game, saying that it was good and worth checking out. It's funny how like I understand that it's probably a cool mechanic, but would you explain like a game it's like where you have to manage people's stress levels? I immediately get stressed thinking about that, and I'm like, fuck that.
And it's a brutal. It's not one of these like it's easy to manage stress. Like if you like there's a pile of dead bodies, right? And if you don't have a shovel in your inventory, you have to manually claw it out to continue on. It stresses everyone out like 20 points out of 100. You're just like, oh man, we're getting stressed out. And some guys, they don't do a lot of damage. They just do a lot of stress damage to you. And it's when you get that the abusive guys, when one of your guys gets abusive, that's the worst because he basically everyone gets demoralized. He's just like, fuck, you guys suck. I would have done way better than you guys. Or what? And there's even one where you know that ellipses, like 3 dots.
Yeah.
Sometimes you do something and it's just 3 dots of a dialogue box over him, like you would do in like a chat, and then your guy takes like 10 stress damage over that. It's incredible. It's an incredible game.
Oh, well, that's
Pretty
sweet.
ingenious mechanic. I love it for that mechanic.
What is the performance requirements for it, do you think? Like for the computer?
You can plug it in. Your computer has electricity. Like it's very low.
Okay, I might check it out if I can get it on this thing. I'm not going to talk about this long, but I'm back into The Witcher 3. Which you may recall I did not finish. I am now the Hearts of Stone expansion has been released and is now in my download queue. I'm a little hesitant about playing it because it'll be integrated into the world, meaning there's a bunch of new side quests that will be added and a new sort of main quest. And I sort of wanted to get to the end of the game, because like I have put in a lot of time to The Witcher 3 and I don't want to get to the point where I drop out of the game.
Yeah.
So I was hoping to play the expansion after I had completed the game, but I think that now I'm going to have a hard time as it's all molded into one world. I'm going to have a hard time. I don't think there's going to be anything indicating that something is from the expansion or not, you know? So I played a couple of main quests in The Witcher 3 before Battlefront came out, and I'm back into it. And honestly, it was really hard for me to play Battlefront this weekend. I kept being like, why am I not playing The Witcher 3? And I had to keep telling myself, you know what? I'm probably not going to buy Battlefront. I need to get my Joneses out this weekend, and then I can go back to The Witcher 3 after. But I think I'm pretty wholesale back into The Witcher, so I'm excited about that. I can't say enough good things about that game.
Good.
So.
You need to keep playing it because one of us has to.
I know.
You're the Witcher correspondent.
I haven't played the Metal Gear Solid yet, but I'm really in it's tough to. I don't want to shit on a game I haven't played for sure, but I'm getting really frustrated by all these people that are either like are talking about Metal Gear Solid as Game of the Year, or there's people who are having Game of the Year discussions, and a lot of people are dismissing The Witcher 3, and I honestly feel like those people just didn't play far enough. Like they played like a couple of hours, and I know a couple of hours sounds like a lot, but with a game like The Witcher 3, it's nothing. And I feel like one of the greatest games of all time has come out this year, and maybe Metal Gear Solid is also one of those, but like I really feel
It's not. It can't be. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Like Metal Gear Solid's a great game. It can never like it's never the greatest game.
I can't imagine it being better than The Witcher 3. But again, I don't know.
I haven't played either, but I have an opinion.
Yeah. No, I just like I don't know. Somebody asked me what my favorite game of all time was the other day, and it's funny because The Witcher 3 is just so at the top of my brain. And I know it can't be that yet. I'm not even finished it once, for Christ's sake. But it definitely, the fact that it's up there percolating when somebody asked me that question is already a huge sign. So like, and I know people have different tastes. I honestly do. I just don't see how that game cannot be game of the year. Anyway, we'll see how Fallout
We'll
what
have
happens.
to do
with
our
Fallout
games of the year because it's going to be tough. Because I was like, it's got to be one of those two. But I'm like, aren't I contractually obligated to say Heroes of the Storm is the game of the year since it released this year, and I do a show about it and play it every day? But people have there's different scales of measurement or vectors of measurement for what you would say makes, the best in a game. And I think we have so many games now, it's a disservice to all of the good games to measure it along one vector. And sales,
I think that's a mature way of looking at it, Beau. And I think that there's a way of saying there's your favorite game of the year, which isn't necessarily going to be the best game of the year, because I would venture to say last year, Dragon Age Inquisition won a lot of the Game of the Year awards. I enjoy Dragon Age Inquisition a lot. It's not even fit to tie the boots of The Witcher 3, but I enjoyed it a lot. But I felt Hearthstone was my game of the year last year based on the amount of time I spent playing. But I can understand when you're getting down to like filling out a spreadsheet saying what is the game of the year. A collectible card game it's difficult when you put up to this giant RPG with multiple outcomes and all this sort of stuff. It's easier to be like, on paper, this is the game of the year, but my personal game of the year or my favorite game of the year is this other game, but in the case of The Witcher 3, I feel like objectively it should be the game of the year. Anyway,
even if
we'll
you
see.
hate Witcher 3, you should still have enough maturity to respect it as game of the year. That's what you're saying.
I feel that
as a technical feat.
I know, no technical, but also emotional, everything.
Okay.
Anyway,
all right.
Enough gushing.
Well,
we're
gonna have a game of the year episode where we're still gonna be talking about frickin' Witcher 3. In fact, I have a prediction now. Crofton, in under a year's time, will start the Witcher 3 podcast with someone he meets who's also an enthusiast of Witcher 3.
I totally
might be
feel
me
like
if I start playing it.
There's few video games I could do a podcast on, but I feel like that's one of them. So
you do have a Witcher 3 podcast. It's this one. All right, let's move on. No dialogue tree this week. We have all kinds of gaming goodness to talk about, and we like to give our dialogue tree topics the time it deserves to have a real conversation. So let's just do something else. Crofton, you want to tee this one up for me?
Sure. Okay. So we've talked a lot about our favorite games and that sort of stuff, but we have a segment every show where we can give you guys a recommendation. It's a segment that we call Inventory Management.
Inventory management is a challenging and inexact science.
It's a challenging and inexact science. All right, I'm going to go first because mine's quick. I already talked about it. You should buy the darkest dungeon, not dank.
So should I wait till it's full, or should I buy it early access?
My initial reaction to this, someone before it was purchased, I was like, yeah, I don't buy early access games because I feel mistrustful. And they're like, what? This is amazing. Trust this one. So yes, it's functional. It's not without its bugs. So if I Alt Tab out of to my second screen when I'm loading a zone, it crashes. So I have to not do that. But apart from that, it's fully functional and fine. So it's the early access deal, but it works pretty much. That's the only bug I've encountered. It otherwise works impeccably.
So you can feel safe to buy as you would a new game.
It's on sale. I don't know if it's still on sale as of this moment, but it was literally $10 Canadian or $11 Canadian. Not very expensive. So it's not like you're pre-purchasing a pretty high-priced game. If you like if you liked FTL, if you like roguelike games, but things that are more friendly, like not hardcore roguelike games that are really graphically poopy, this hits that sweet spot, man. It's good. There's some videos on how it runs on Steam. Check it out. Read the reviews. Actually, a lot of the reviews on Steam I saw were negative, but overall it's very positive. I just think people have difficulty. Well, from what I gathered from the comments was that the hardcores were finding it too easy, so they made the game harder. I'm part of the camp that's like, that's a good thing. Make this thing as hard as possible. I like games that are decidedly brutal, if that's their thing. So I think some people are going to have a hard time with this game. There's not a lot of hand-holding with some of the stats in it, but it's definitely worth it if it's up your alley. That's my recommendation, Darkest Dungeon. Play it.
I just looked at some of the Steam reviews, and it's funny because like there's some that are like, do not recommend, and then it's like time spent playing 130 hours. I'm like, kiss my ass, you recommended.
Oh my God, really?
Your time?
Yeah.
You would have quit hours ago.
Is this that treaded water, dude? Because it says not recommended. Hours on record, 130.7.
Yeah.
Like,
and then you have to read his giant explanation, but I don't care. Like, as soon as I see 130 or whatever, it's like, it'll be some super nerdy explanation of why. I liked it upon version 1.27, but version 1.23 changed the art style somewhat, and now I don't recommend,
Yeah, that's why these reviews are kind of bummy on early access. Like, it's like, what version are you speaking about? But take it from me, the game is a recommend. Those people writing negative reviews have just played a lot of it, and they're going to the wrong place to post their comments. And unfortunately, people can be dumb. So, yeah.
All right, I'm going to go with a really weird rec this week, or depending on how you look at it. So I'm going to recommend a classic from the Wii. It actually was a pack-in with the Wii. I'm talking about Wii Sports, possibly the most sold video game of all time. It's up there.
What version?
Because the original version that came
for the
packed
Nintendo Wii, like it's kind of old now.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. 2005.
Okay.
4?
All right. So I think
6?
I've played this one actually. This is with the tennis, right? The big tennis deal.
Tennis, bowling, golf.
But you really play it for the tennis. Or at least
baseball. No, it depends. Now, the reason this was on the top of my mind was that my brother Nick and I used to play the baseball very often, and we would play it like real baseball. In the original Nintendo, you had like a mat that unrolled, and there was a power pad, and you could do the hurdles and track and field with the original Nintendo. Yeah. But you pretty quick found out that it's possible to cheat. So you could sit down on a chair and just like use your hands or something on the pad. It was really easy to cheat. But I think as an adult, I realized like if you don't cheat and play things the way they're meant to be played, you would probably have more fun. And the baseball game, I think, was something that you could cheat in as well. I'm not 100% sure. But Nick and I we'd stand in the living room like we were playing baseball. One of us would hold a Wii remote like they're holding a bat. The other one would pitch like he had a ball behind his back, and then would do the throw and all this sort of thing. And the World Series are going on right now. Well, the baseball playoffs leading up to the World Series, and the Blue Jays, Canada's team, are in it. And I normally don't follow baseball, but I've been sort of catching Jays fever, and I started thinking about the Wii Sports and how much fun Nick and I would have playing the baseball game. And then I remembered, man, we had so much fun, my entire family, around Thanksgiving, and it's Canadian Thanksgiving weekend right now, playing Wii Sports, and we would play tennis, and that tennis game still holds up. I feel like there's promise there that was never captured on a greater scale. I feel like the motion felt good. Like it really felt like it was doing what you wanted it to do. And I just think of the amount of times that I've had fun playing Wii Sports, and that there's a bunch of people out there who probably maybe are either too young or just maybe play it for a bit and then set it aside and all this. You can buy a Wii probably dirt cheap right now. Probably dirt cheap, and I guarantee every one of them comes with Wii Sports, and I truly believe Wii Sports Resort is also decent, but Wii Sports is a game that is just worth, like Rock Band, it is a game that's just worth having around, because one day, you never know. People might be around. You might have AA batteries. You get going. Yeah, have a game of tennis, have a game of baseball, and honestly, you will have a ton of fun. It's not the game that you're going to be playing for 20 hours every evening, but I feel like it's a game that people shouldn't forget. It has yet to be topped, and it's the only good reason I can think of for motion controls. So yeah, my recommendation for this week is Wii Sports, the original.
There's no updated version for Wii U, is there?
There, not to my knowledge. Oh, you know what, Beau, you are a handsome genius. There is they did release some sort of remastered version for Wii U. I don't have a Wii U, so I hadn't thought about that, but I remember reading about that the not too long ago. Here, I'm gonna cheat here and run a quick search. I think it's called Wii Sports Remix or something like that.
Remix. Lame name. Come on. The Wii Sports Remix, man. Boom.
Yeah.
All
Wii
right,
Sports.
but anyways, sure. Yeah.
Wii Sports Club. Sorry, it's Wii Sports Club.
Wii Sports Club. We're part of. All right, it's not as funny. It wasn't even funny the first time. I'm really pushing the bear.
But and I think that there's some. They do a couple of things, like they mix up some things so that like you can use the Wii remote, the Wii the tablet controller. You can use it like so in the golf game, for instance.
Yeah, I see that I'm just looking at pictures now. I see that you can use it as where the ball is, and
it's the tee. Yeah, you could use it as the tee and stuff. So I would imagine that would make it even more immersive. But yeah, we
didn't play the Wii U version, but let's imagine that they've retained the spirit of the Wii version. So getting either might be actually good.
Except it would be in HD, not that the graphics are the selling point.
Oh no, a Nintendo game in HD. How dare they?
I'm just saying, like, Beau, you always feel personally insulted when the game's not in HD, so I thought that would be a selling point for you.
It is, and actually, I did have a Wii, and we got the Wii because my girlfriend at the time, not into video games, but liked the idea. Like a lot of people, I want a Wii. I'm like, why do you want a Wii? Because it's a Wii. I can exercise on it. You know, sorry, I don't mean to make fun of her. This is generally speaking about all the people that bought a Wii because they thought it was going to revolutionize exercise. That we played Wii Sports. That was actually a good memory. One of the only good memories I have about the Wii is Wii Sports. Wii Sports was actually a very fun game. So
I think
Crofton's
it's one of those things you can't forget when talking about the Wii. It's like, because I agree with a lot of what you say about the Wii, but like, it is worth, especially if you already own one or you can get it cheap or whatever. I feel like it's something that should always remember that, especially when people are over, you're looking just for a good multiplayer game. Wii Sports, man, it's a good game. It's fun.
All right, you heard it here first. We recommend The Darkest Dungeon and Wii Sports.
I like how you have recommended an obscure game that's in early access that no one's probably heard of, and I've recommended possibly the most sold game of all time.
Well, we run the gamut here. We each have our everything in its place and everything placed. But I don't know, whatever.
Thank you for that, Beau.
All right.
If you have words of wisdom you want to share with us, we would invite you to travel full light speed with your evasive maneuvers towards exmpodcast.com.
Never tell me the odds, kid.
That's our website. It's got all episodes of EXM on it. That's the exclamation mark. And you can also, of course, and we hope you do, subscribe to us on iTunes, on Stitcher. You can follow us on Twitter at EXM Podcast. We tend to do a live recording of the show Monday evenings, 8:30 Eastern. That's twitch.tv/EXM Podcast. But if you follow us on Twitter at EXM Podcast, you will get updated when we go live. Also, we have Facebook page, facebook.com/EXM Podcast. All our recent episodes are updated there as well. Also, and finally, we have a sister podcast, and that is the Good, Bad, or Bullshit podcast, where Beau and I are joined by our friend Mike Hodgins, and we discuss a random topic drawn every week. Finally, if you want to follow Chewbacca, you can follow him or learn more about him through the internet Chewie, explain how that's done. Well, what I think he said was at Beau Schwartz on Twitter. And you can follow me at Crofton Steers, where I always shoot first. All right, so we're pretty much done, except for one closing segment. The segment that has people coming back to this show in droves. I'm talking, of course, about Mastergame Theatre. Quote of the week.
It's now time for Mastergame Theatre.
All right, so...
Yeah. All right, I'll stop that.
It's funny because that's essentially the Mastergame Theatre. It was Beau being Chewie. But no, we're going to keep it with the Star Wars theme, but focus it on video games.
What are you saying about my talent?
I'm saying that it's amazing, and no matter what, never tell them the odds. So, Mastergame Theatre quote of the week this time is from Star Wars: Knights of the Old Republic, one of the few sort of agreed upon iconic Star Wars video games, the one that made by BioWare. People still stands up, and everybody has enjoyed it. You can even get it on iOS now.
It still reads a newspaper.
Yeah, it's honestly, I feel like this game would hold up pretty well. I haven't played it for a long time. I played it on the original Xbox. I think I own it on 3 different other devices, but I have yet to restart it. It's one of those long BioWare RPGs.
You know, I might own it on iOS and Steam as well.
Dude, it's good. It's a good game. Like, I mean, it's really good.
Play it sometime. I've never launched it once.
It's pretty awesome. There's a huge twist in it that I won't reveal to you.
Thanks.
Where this segment from Mastergame Theatre involves the player character talking to a droid, HK-47, a droid specializing in assassinations, and the player character meets him in a store and they engage in some delightful banter. So in this segment, player character will be played by Beau, and I will play HK-47. Beau, are you ready?
Peter, pickle, pepper. Yep, I'm good.
All right, let's go. Here we go. And scene begin now. Statement: HK-47 is ready to serve, Master.
You don't need to call me Master, you know.
Query: don't I? I was under the assumption that organic meat bags such as yourself enjoyed such forms of address.
Organic meat bags?
Retraction. Did I say that out loud? I apologize, Master. While you are a meat bag, I suppose I should not call you as such.
You just called me a meat bag again.
Explanation. It's just that you have all these squishy parts, Master, and all that water. How the constant sloshing doesn't drive you mad, I have no idea.
Neither do I, come to think of it.
Statement. Now do you understand the travails of my existence, Master? Surely it does not compare to your existence, but still.
I survive, somehow.
Commentary. As do I. It is our lot in life, I suppose, Master. Shall we find something to kill to cheer ourselves up?
All right, that's the end of the show.
Show is over.
Show's over. All right, that is the recording.
How long was it?
An hour and 28 minutes.
Holy shit, man.
That's a long one.
Yeah, just flew by, though. I'm not that tired, actually.
Well, I mean, look, I'm stopping the recording now. Actually, no, just keep going. Oh.
What? We're restarting? Okay, welcome to the exclamation mark.
No, I just mean I keep it running. Sometimes we say some funny stuff I might clip out. But this started with, like, let's record our conversations about video games, right? So we talked way more than an hour when we were hanging out. So, like, if anything, we keep it kind of short, man. Keep it short and pasty. What? Short and tasty. Short and tasteful. Short and sweet. So,
yeah, no, I felt that it, like, what we were saying wasn't bad.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So,
So
didn't have too many in the live stream today. Most people were
a lot of
telling
people-
us how much they love us, though.
Yeah, and that I had to eventually shut them up because that was just
They
irritating.
love me so much, though.
Yeah, it's well, they'll never be able to say anything to you again unless they follow
Oh, do
you
you
on
like
Twitter.
Christian death metal?
Yeah, the answer to that question is no. I'm an atheist, so I don't like any music
Like
or any
Skillet?
art that is the thing it is before it is just death metal. I'm not a big fan of death metal, but I wouldn't say I dislike death metal. But
I'm
I
not a
dislike
fan of any
anything
metal.
that is
It's
like
just
like I like apples, but if I met a religious apple, I would say I don't want a religious apple. I don't want a Christian apple. I just want an apple. So if I want death metal, or if I want music, maybe the people in the band are Christian. That's okay. That won't make me not like it. But when the thing is also another thing, decidedly, it's like we're organic punk rock band. I'm like, so it just means you're gonna use your art for propaganda and you have some sort of message or celebrating something, and I'm not into it. You can still do it, but yeah,
I
you
just
got the
don't like
nerdy
loud noises because I'm an old man. So I would listen to Phil Collins or something.
Yeah, I don't listen to death metal, but I have nothing against it, and certainly, I'm sure I like. It's not death metal, but there's a few there's Rammstein songs that I like. We're all living in America. It's wunderbar with Mickey Mouse. I like that song, but
Isn't that Darude Sandstorm?
oh, no one's ever made that joke before. That's an original joke. I think
It
two
is-
for
it's
two on
true.
the most
First time.
original jokes ever made in the history
Take a
of
picture.
broadcasting. All right,
right.
well, Internet, thank you for joining us, because a couple you did, and even if you spent 1 minute with us, that was 1 minute too much. I mean, 1 minute we're grateful for.
Yeah.
So thanks for hanging out with us, and we'll see you next week on Monday. We talk about more video games and crap.
Yes.
Crofton,
Thank
send them
you.
off.
Live stream. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye, live stream.